I was growing up in Minden, I had visions of summers filled with baseball and golf. But my father had some other ideas about how to fill my summers. He thought that I should work on McInnis Brothers projects. Of course, it was voluntary, but if you wanted to eat and sleep at his house, you learned to volunteer.
On the rare occasions that we were insubordinate to our mother, she simply reached for the red telephone and dialed up the thermonuclear option, our father, and that always worked.
If you ask my brother, I think he'll always tell you I was the one who was really at fault in any situation with my mom and dad, but I would say it was probably pretty evenly divided.
He suggested that we tell my parents, who were not there at the time, that we had been outside pitching golf balls and I shanked one through the window. And I said, why do I have to be the one that hit the golf ball through the window? And he said, well, they know I'm too good a golfer to have hit a shot that bad.
He may have gotten caught holding the bag a little bit more than I'm not sure, but I think I've suffered through some of my father's severity over all those years too. So maybe in the end it's about equal.
The storytelling goes on and on and on. And he and Philip, his brother, are just two of the funniest people you've ever met, but with this dry, understated sense of humor that just cracks me up.
Harry was always a model child, except for just a few unfortunate brushes with law enforcement.
I had some friends and we had some crazy ventures and capers that we were sometimes involved in, but I can say that although apprehended more than a few times, we were never convicted.
For example, when he was 16 years old, he and a couple of friends forcibly stole the Halloween candy from a 9-year-old trick-or-treater. And after they were apprehended by the local police, my mother did a Watergate-style cover-up to keep our father from ever finding out about that. When these things have happened, we've just tried to put them behind us and move on.
When I graduated from law school, I had the opportunity to either enter into the practice of law or to come back and participate in a family business. And after a long period of evaluation and consternation, I decided that I wanted to come and be a part of our family business, and it's a decision I've never regretted. I think that being in a business enterprise with my family is something that I've always treasured.
You know, family businesses are no great bargain. They're tough, but the two generations of McInnises have run this business in the most cooperative, loving family way. They just don't seem to ever have any issues that they can't settle by consensus.
My brothers and I both worked for the company at various times growing up, and it gave you a work ethic. You had to walk through the door and there was my dad and there was my grandfather, and you know, they expected for you to toe the line and do the right thing.
I certainly take pride in all of our projects, the things that we've been able to produce and to build, and I think there's a certain sense of pride you get in being a builder.
Harry has built some magnificent structures in Northwest Louisiana, and possibly one of the best things that he imparts to everyone who works with him on anything is his great love and appreciation for education.
There's probably not a civic organization in Minden that Harry hadn't been the president of or on the board of directors of, and I guess he used them all up because then he has moved to Shreveport and Bossier and become a leader in the Shreveport-Bossier community. Many of those organizations have asked him to serve in a leadership capacity, and then once he becomes a leader in a leadership capacity, they generally don't want him to leave.
I don't know anybody who gives more back to the community than Harry McInnis. everywhere you look. He's involved, and he's not just enrolled, he's engaged.
He just keeps moving from one project to another, and I think of him almost in terms of always wearing that hard hat, and the hard hat's got to be close by. So especially in the field of education, I just hope he hasn't given up on it, because we have a lot of battles ahead of us in the next couple of years. So we're hoping this is not a swan song.
I'm very appreciative that I have a very supportive wife. Frances listens to all the stories of trials and travails at McInnis Brothers and other organizations that I'm associated with. She's very patient in listening to all the problems and generally tells me some very good sound solutions, and after a short period of time she even lets me think it was my idea.
He wanted you to show up, do the right thing, you know, and basically walk the line, you know.
However, I understand in the world of grandchildren, there are no rules, and whatever the rules were are all gone, and whatever the grandchildren want to do, they can certainly do, because he's gone from the disciplinarian to the cream puff.
She would come home and she would have ices and, you know, more candy and books and all this. And so we would shut the door and my husband would say, now, you know, that's not who you describe when you talk about your dad growing up. And I was like, I don't know who that person is.
They always have these questions that keep you humble, like, Granddaddy, why does your skin look so old?
Harry is a perfectionist, and in his pursuit of excellence, he can be demanding, intense, happy-go-lucky, challenged. But I see people all the time that tell me they have had a wonderful experience serving under him on a board or a committee, although many of these people do exhibit unmistakable signs of Stockholm Syndrome.
With that great southern slow drawl that he has, you're just going to get a great story. He's a great storyteller, and people just gravitate toward that because he relates to people so well.
That characteristic of organization, fair play, and treating fellow man fairly, that is what causes Harry to be a success.
I mean, it's been a privilege to, you know, grow up as his daughter and see all of the things that he's done and become with his life.